So this video is going to be a little bit of a response video to a video that another content creator made. But the point of this video, the initial, like, I guess, talking point of this video was that there is a recent song that came out from Dax called "To Be a Man." And basically, he's talking about what it's like to be a man and what all that entails. And as a man, I understand that experience. In this song, although I'm a typically a well put together man, I would like to think anyway, most of the time. Um, the song did make me tear up a little bit because some of the things that it talks about are serious and they are things that I deal with. But it was more of like, yeah, I get it, and you just kind of go on. But anyways, the so sometimes when these kind of videos come out, I go down a reaction rabbit hole or whatever, and I watch some of the reaction because I do want to see what other other people's perspectives on this. And I watched a few guys reacting to it. And you kind of get what you expect. The guy tears up and is like, "Yep, that's how it is." And he's like, "Hey, I've been dealing with these kind of things, or I know people who deal with these kind of things," and that's essentially what the guy's version of it. But the Rosalie Reacts, one of the creators I sometimes watch the reactions for recently with like NF and stuff like that. Um, so I was watching this video and she starts talking about like, oh yeah, like she's basically talking about the having a discussion about well, I bet you men sometimes feel this way, but you can't express this kind of stuff, blah blah blah. I mean, I'm not trying to, I'm not making fun of that by saying blah blah blah. Don't take that wrong. Um, and I hope you see this video because I am gonna explain, what it is like, as a man, and maybe someone gets something out of this. I don't know. I ramble, and I have a lot of insecurities talking about some of these things. So it is going to be a little bit of maybe a longer video, and also it may delve into some of the I don't know. It's not going to be necessarily a happy video to talk about it, but I do hope that you watch this and you see this, and I'm able to kind of give you a perspective to at least have a basis off of. So, as you can see, I'm a I like video games, like pop culture stuff. So I have all these kind of things. And as a man, the first thing that a lot of people who may watch this video and look at me as a man, they may be like, well, he's not an alpha giga Chad. He doesn't have a freaking 300, 500 pounds over there that he squats every day. So he's not the super giga Chad alpha male. So obviously there may be some criticisms like that, levied my way if they watch this video. But let's just go. I don't want to give my life story, but I kind of do. It's hard to tell what's kind of appropriate for a video like this. But if you're gonna enjoy me rambling, please hit like and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. I do want to make more good content that actually informs people about this kind of stuff. Especially since I'm someone who is definitely an advocate for the man's perspective of a lot of these things. If you may not like all the things that I post on Twitter, but a lot of the things that I post are about these kind of things that men go through that women just don't consider at all. So let's sort of, I guess, start from the beginning. I guess my life a little bit. So just a short snippet, like my life condensed in a little bit, more concise manner. As a boy, growing up, I really liked playing sports. I really liked, I was into fantasy stuff. I liked video games already early on. Whenever I was 4 and 5, some of my earliest memories, good memories, I guess, are my dad playing video games with me. That was a fun memory. But there's also those hard times of well, I'm adjusting to a new period. I started growing. I was one of the tallest kids at one point in my class, and so then you deal with all these kind of different things growing up. I was the smart kid, so a lot of the other kids were would kind of pick on me and jab at me. And but I was secure in it enough that I was like, okay, well, it doesn't necessarily bother me because I make better grades than them anyway, and I'm gonna go do these things. I'm gonna go be an intellectual and be smart and go through school and do my best basically. I made I made first place in the math bee a few times, and I was pretty proud of that myself. But um, I didn't have the pride of my parents, and that is the first thing that I would say. Sons, particularly, but children in general, but sons definitely, they're seeking your approval, and a son, nothing is more important to a son than his father's pride, and this is what kind of has led me to a lot of heartache in life. Is that my father, while he was there, while he did provide for our family, while he did his best, and he worked hard to keep a decent standard of living for our family. We weren't rich by any means, but we weren't completely poor all the time. Like, my parents could afford to get me, the new game consoles when they came out because they'd save up for it for me for Christmas. Um, and then they would they would get me a handful of games to go with it, and that was a huge part of my Christmas because that was what I really liked and what I really wanted. But some years we couldn't do that. We had to share. Me and my brother had to share a gaming console one time, and basically, like, when we got the new console, we had to share it because they couldn't afford to do that kind of thing. But you know, the biggest thing for me was always trying to get my father's approval and trying to get, what I wanted to hear more than anything was the words, "I'm proud of you." And that was the thing that I really was hinging on trying to get my dad to say. And it was never enough. I would have a basketball game. I would come home and I would have a horrible game. I would hate myself because I missed, 5 shots or whatever. And then dad comes in there like, well, you should have been doing this, and why didn't you pass it here and this like this, and he's never played organized basketball, so I'm really I take umbrage with him saying these kind of things, of him critiquing me when, I mean, and I understand he was trying to he thought he was trying to help, but now being a dad myself, because I'm trying to teach my son to play baseball, and he doesn't really want to do it, want to learn either. So I do see both sides of the coin, but also I think that he took it way too far of just not caring about, like, not saying like, well, hey, good, there's always next time. I know, like, you're gonna go back next game. We're gonna do this, and him being there, maybe him being there and helping me out. Also, for me, my brother was considered more of the athlete, so he got to, and he was more popular with people. I was really kind of the outcast of our class, and kind of I've kind of been the outcast of just in general. Not many people just want to just come up and talk to me or whatever. So I've always kind of been in this weird lane of trying to earn approval and trying to have someone that is proud of me. um and it's really, it really weighs on you whenever no one says that. No one says the words, "I'm proud of you." And the only time that I can ever remember my dad saying, "I'm proud of you," was after I'd graduated college, and it didn't really help me then because by that point, I didn't care. I didn't need those words anymore. I made it on my own. I went through college all on my own. I had a academic scholarship. I went through most of the college. That paid for most of the tuition fees, but I also had to pay for books. So I had to. I was working. Well, I want to say part time, but really I was working 40 hours a week, going to college for 12 or 15 credit hours usually, and and that was a huge. I mean, that's like a 70-hour work week, and I was doing that for 4 years. Well, basically 5 years, because of the way that I had to basically go an extra year because of the hours, the way that you have to earn your credit hours. Um, so I basically did that for working 40 hours a week, going to college for for 5 years. So I went 4.5 or like 5 years there, and finish all that up. And that's the first time that I really remember my dad ever saying, "I'm proud of you," and that really hurts as a man. You don't really have much, that way of handling that. Like, what do you do? I mean, people just aren't proud of you, and you just keep going and you keep doing your thing, and you just hope one day that someone says those words, and preferably it's your father, your own father, your flesh and blood. But that's the thing, and what I compare it to, um, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan, huge Dragon Ball fan. I love, I like Goku, but like there's the, I guess there's, you can see it in Goku too. Goku with his son Gohan, he has a pride for his son. Especially through like the Cell arc. If you ever watched Dragon Ball, that's why one of the I like these shows. Vegeta is a proud father. He wants his son Trunks to be the next heir to his bloodline and carry on his name. And there's a lot of these kind of themes through certain more Japanese shows than American shows now, because we can't see that in American shows, because if you show a positive male figure in American media, it's seen as a huge negative. You actually, a lot of the media companies don't allow that. And the more and more that you see, I mean, you see all this kind of stuff where no matter what the new movies or whatever, the man can't be competent. They can't be shown as being capable of anything. Um, but that's an aside, though. Really, but in my life, going back to my life story, I guess I've only heard the words "I'm proud of you" basically once in my life, and that's everyone. That's, I mean, I'm married. I have two sons. I'm very proud of them, from where they've got so far. One of them, just turned one, and the other one is almost 5 years old. And I'm very proud of them, but I still know that there's a lot of work to go, and I want to do my best to make them the best men that they can be. And I tried to tell my wife, tried to explain to my wife, like, they're not gonna, nobody's gonna care for them like we do. They're nobody because they're men, because they're gonna become men, because they're boys and they're gonna become men. No one is gonna care about them the same way that they do care about you. And she just couldn't believe it. She basically just wrote it off and said, "No, no, no, no. Everyone will care, about our boys." And I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. Men do not. No one cares about them. Like, when it comes to down to it. If they have a problem, if they have an issue, it's not. No one's going to be concerned. No one's going to care about their problems or their issue." Uh, Case in point, with my dad, and I've had struggles with this too. My dad recently went to the doctor, and he had issues with his back. He was down in his back, and the doctor basically they were doing, the insurance companies were doing a runaround, and they basically make him have to prove that he's really hurt and all this kind of stuff, because he's a man. But now there are women who are in the same circumstance, and they immediately get treated for surgery for their back, or whatever it may be. But because he's a man, they don't want him to be faking it, and insurance companies don't want to pay for it for him, because they think that it's costly and it's not worth it. They don't think it's worth it for a man, like, to do it for a man, because it's costly, and who knows, if he injures it again, then they have to pay for it again, and all that kind of stuff. So they don't want to deal with these kind of things that are going on for men, like the insurance companies. Nobody, the hospitals themselves, they don't want to deal with it. And I've had my personal struggle with this too. I've ever since my oldest was born. I don't know if what I did to my back, but my shoulders are having issues. They don't, they're in pain constantly. I have them popping in and out of place, and I go to the doctor and I tell him exactly what's going on. He gives me a what he thinks the diagnosis is, and I say, okay, well, what do we do about this? He said, okay, do physical therapy. I do physical therapy for a few months, like probably 2 months, maybe two and a half. And then after I go back, I say, "Well, I'm still having this. My shoulders are still clicking and popping." And he said, "I don't care about that. I just care that you're not in pain. I don't care about all this other stuff. I don't care about it." Literally, the doctor's sitting there telling my face, and as a man, like someone telling you they just don't care about about the problem that you're actually talking about. I'm telling the doctor that I have an actual problem, and him not listening and not wanting to actually treat it, but rather tell me that he doesn't want to do anything and he doesn't really care. Um, I want to say that that's a unique experience. That was a one time. That was that doctor, that office, and everything. But that is a common experience with men. If you walk into a doctor's office and you say, "I have a problem and I want it fixed," um, the doctors, they either don't believe you or they don't care. Like, they literally do not care. He told me to his face he did not care. He did not want to treat me. He did not want to help it in any ways. And he basically told me to get bent because he thought that I was milking this or something. I don't know what, but the physical therapy didn't help. And he was basically just saying, like, well, tough luck, Chuck. And that's kind of what we left it at. And I still in pain. I still have pain regularly to this day. I still struggle with my shoulders popping in and out, and I try to do things, and I'm trying to loosen them up and trying to do exercises and all this kind of stuff to maybe loosen it up and help with it. But I mean, just no one cares. Like, um, and even in relationships, I love my wife to death. I love my wife to death. Don't take anything that I'm about to say as necessarily as a slight against my wife, because she is great at handling things and taking care of the kids. She's a great mother. Uh, Most of the time, a great wife. But there are some things that women don't understand, that they think isn't like, they don't think that it's harming the man. For instance, whenever we're disciplining my children, if I'm trying to intervene and trying to say, "Hey, you can't talk to mom like that. You can't do that," or whatever, and she said she's trying to, like, shoo me away, tell me that she's got it or whatever. It's really that really hurts, because that's sort of what I think is my role, is to be there and to be the primary disciplinarian, and to be involved and tell them, like, "Hey, you can't talk to mom like that, and you need to go sit," and all this kind of stuff. But when she's like, "No, no, 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 I'm dealing with it," this kind of stuff. That stuff does kind of cut, a little bit. And not only that, but you know women don't think about how they put their trust in men. If I was telling my wife, like, "Hey, I want to try to pursue some of my dreams and hopes and dreams and these kind of things, and some of them may not necessarily be fully able to materialize, and but what women do best is if they support the man in those kind of things. um that's a huge thing. If my wife would just say, like, "Hey, I support you. I'm all for it." But she was concerned. She was like, "Well, are you gonna basically, if me wanting to get involved um in local government, and do some other things, and maybe pursue starting my own venture at some point, or doing streaming, or any of these kind of ideas that I've had along the way, of just doing something on the side to maybe help." our family, and not just help our family, but just just do something for fun, that I that I want to achieve. Like if I want to make these videos, I have to basically find really spare time that no one's gonna be either be here or so I basically have to squeeze these out because there's not many times I can just sit here and make a lot of videos. So yeah, it does hurt me to not have her just say, um, buy into everything, and I'm not gonna tell her that, and I'm not gonna bring that on her because I think um that's wrong for me to do. That's not. Oh well, you can talk it out. That's not how it works, guys. Like that is not. No woman wants to be told that she's wrong, and every woman can attest to that. And if they don't admit that, they're probably lying because like they do want to they do think that they're generally right about everything. um and that's just how it is. If I say, hey, I feel like you slighted me, it doesn't do anything because she doesn't really. It's about, she thinks she's been slighted, so it doesn't really matter if I've been slighted at all. So that's just how male and female dynamics work. So especially in modern day. Maybe in a previous time, women would say, well, you know what, husband, you're right. But nowadays, women are told that they can do no wrong, that they have all the agency that they can do. But men are never told like, hey, pursue this, go for this, do this, like, or they're not championed. Like, it's not like, hey, be the best you can be. Go up, do all the only time that they do that is whenever it's like, hey, I need more money, so I need you to get rich, and that's pretty much the only time that women will like affirm men in the way that in the way that is. And I posted a little bit of a controversial tweet, but I don't think that it was too controversial. But a lot of people don't a lot of people talk about affirmation in modern society, but what I said is, if anything needs affirmation, it's fathers really, mainly fathers, but definitely husbands and fathers need a lot of affirmation in today's society because you don't get to I signed this marriage contract basically, and now I am sacrificing everything, sacrificing all these things, all these hopes and dreams, and all these things that I would want to do. That I'm basically, now I'm older. I can't do a lot of the things that I used to. Um, both physically and not necessarily mentally. I'm still mentally acute. I'm still mentally aware, but I'm saying like there's a lot of these things that I can't capitalize on. I'm not can't. There's no timing for doing these kind of things. I can't necessarily like stream for 10 hours a day to become a Twitch streamer and all these kind of things like these kids are doing. So I missed a boat on a lot of things, and I don't have the opportunity to do these things. And every time that I've went to my wife to say like, hey, should I do this or whatever, and it's always about like, well, if you do that though, I won't have any time with you, and you're not going to be making any money. You're not going to do anything with it. And while some of that is maybe correct, some of that may be true, there is a way to handle those discussions without just shutting a man down, and that's the worst thing that women do is just shut the man down, and act like that nothing that he wants to do that he wants to say really matters, and that's the most frustrating part about being a man. But yeah, the that's a lot of what it's like to be a man is you have all these hopes, dreams, aspirations, all these things that you want to achieve, goals you want to achieve. Like even for me now, I still have goals that I want to achieve that are achievable, but it's going to require a lot more work. It's going to require me to basically do it all on my own because I don't have buy-in from everybody else. No one else is going to give me any help. That's the thing, the difference between men and women. Like if woman, you want to achieve your dream, all your friends are going to be behind you. You're going to have all these kind of things. Go sister, go. That there is that kind of vibe. But as a man, like, not even my own brother would cheer me on to say like, hey, hey, you go for it, do these things, all this kind of stuff. It would be a competition between me and him because we do, we're competitive and we want to be better than the other, and that's always been sort of our relationship in a lot of ways. But if you're trying to stack up against him, like if I'm trying to stack up against him and he's trying to stack up against me, like we're trying to be the upper echelon of the family and trying to be the guy, the next heir of the family, I guess. um you know who's gonna help me? Like that's so part of what Dax's song says. Like, well, if you fall down, who's gonna come help pick you up? No, you just gotta pick up yourself. That's you basically got to be doing pull-ups all day long just to pull yourself up every time you get knocked down 15 times. You just keep getting back up. Like that's the man's way. Like you just have to do it. Like there's no other recourse. Like there's no way to get around it. Like because no one's gonna like come to you and say, here, um sir, like we want to help you. We're trying to help you. We see what you're trying to do. We want to help you get to the next level. um even in our churches and all this kind of stuff, everywhere is very supportive of women, wanting to push them up to the top of everything and trying to help them. Oh well, here, help women, help women. But as soon as like a man is like, hey, I have an idea and I have things that I want to go pursue and I'm passionate about this. I really want to put effort into it and do these kind of things. As soon as a man says anything like that, if he doesn't, it's the first question out of everyone's mouth is, well, do you have the money, the time, and resources to be able to do it? And if you don't, if you say, well, no, I don't have any of that. I just really am passionate about this thing and I really want to pursue these things. Then the people will look at you funny and they'll be like, well, who cares? Like you don't have the money, you don't have the time, you don't have the resources, you don't have any of this. So that's how it is as a man. Like just nobody cares. Like it's literally the the darkest path possible to go. I mean, and that's why so many people are opting out in a lot of ways. Men are opting out of the dating pool. Men are opting out of sometimes being men, or they're opting out of all these kind of other they're opting out of they don't there's nobody wants to be a man in today's society because well, where'd the real men go? Well, let me tell you where they went. They've been here all along. They're still here. They're still real men in our society. The problem is that everyone has basically crushed and destroyed them and didn't ever want to help them at any point. And they were too busy trying to lift every single woman up that all these men are just stuck, and that's just how it is. But and I know you said in your video that you want you might want some vulnerability, but as a man, I don't want to be vulnerable. A woman doesn't want me to be vulnerable because that doesn't look good. Oh well, I've had a rough day at work. No woman wants to see that. No woman. Oh well. I feel like I nearly got fired the other day. Because I made a mistake, and I'm stressed out, and well, I had to keep the kid and do my work. One day, these kind of things. Does she really want to hear that? No, she doesn't want to hear that. She wants to hear that. Oh well, I'm doing good, and I'm still getting paid, and well, I'm still doing the things that I'm supposed to do, that I'm required of, that's required of me, and that those are the primary things, and I don't want y'all to think that my relationship is toxic. I'm not trying to push it off in that way, but women do a lot of these things, and they think that they're just like, well, I don't think it'll work out, so I'm gonna be the voice of reason here, instead of pushing the man to be better. Like the women compliment men best when you want him to be better, and you're like, here, let's do this. Like, okay, you want to do this? Let's go all in. Yeah, you're gonna do it, and you're gonna do your best at it. and that's like, women really are the best cheerleaders for men in society. Like that's what that's the way that it worked before, and that's the way that the formula sort of established that was functioning between male and female male and female dynamics. Is that a woman cheerleading a man into being the best that he can possibly be, and saying like, hey, go, go, husband, like do the best you can, and even if she's doing something nowadays, even if she has a job nowadays, just supporting your husband, and or and everything, and trying to tell him like, hey, like, here, you want to do it, like, here, we can whiteboard it out and figure out what we're doing, and figure all this kind of stuff out, and I want to help you. But that's just not how a lot of women are wired. They just don't want to do that, because they think that, well, if he decides to do that, it might take away from his job, and he might be get fired, and then we might be broke, and we might still have to pay the mortgage, and all this kind of BS. So that's where men just have to suck it up, Buttercup, and keep going. And that's basically what it is. That's kind of the crux of it. I know this is a really freaking long video, but I hope that somebody gets something out of it. Maybe. I don't know if I need to cut anything out. I do like to make long form content and leave longer discussion for a lot of these things, because I don't think a lot of people think about it in this way. And but that's just my experience as being a man, is that the people, even the closest people around you, may not necessarily be your biggest champion, and unless you have some sort of like tangible worth, like my brother being athletic, or something else, then you, or you start earning a lot of money. A lot of people just don't, they write you off. They don't think you're capable of doing it. Like they don't think that that it'll work out, that it'll pan out. Like my parents even told me that if I should go to become a doctor at college, but instead I made a conscious decision to become to study computer science and become a programmer, and that was what my decision. And they weren't happy with that decision, and it frustrated them a little bit, because they thought that I was going to go and become a doctor, and I didn't. Might have helped myself at this point. No, I might have been able to do it. Like, well, screw y'all, I'll just take care of myself. Anyway, but yeah, that was just what I was passionate about. I like computers. I like being on the internet and doing a lot of these things, and playing video games and all that kind of stuff. My dream job was to make my own video game, and I still want to make my own video game. But I need someone to support that, and to be there for me, and say like, hey, go make your first video game, go do those kind of things, because that's where a lot of men like they can do great things. Like I could probably make a great video game, but I need that little nudge of just like, here, go. I'll help you. We'll set aside time to allow you to do these kind of things. But that's the kind of support that men need, is like, hey, here's time for you to go to do things, and pursue things that you want to pursue, and that kind of stuff. But our society just isn't geared that way. They just don't care about men in the same way that they do women's needs. That's just how it is, and I think that's how it's going to be for the foreseeable future, because men we really don't, we're not going to, like, if for all the people who say that we're toxic men and we complain about everything, we really don't complain that much. Like, we might whine a little bit, like, oh man, why have I got to do this? But men really don't go out of our way to just like complain and really whine and moan about everything, every little thing. A lot of men just literally just put their head down and just like, well, no one cares, so I just go through it and do it, and if I don't, then whatever. I just got to keep going and keep trying, because nobody else cares if I don't, and that's the biggest hurdle here, Is it just, that's what they have to do. Men don't want to be vulnerable. Women don't want men to be vulnerable. It's none of that is the issue. And this is where feminism colors a lot of people's perspective. Is that um men don't want to be vulnerable. They don't want to discuss all these kind of things because it just doesn't seem like it matters as much. Um, and men just don't like that. I don't want to talk about my fees. That's not the prescription for the solution that I would have. If you really want to fix a lot of these problems for men, I think there's a lot to be done as far as allowing men to have activities that are completely male oriented, where men get together and they play sports or they do these kind of things. Adult leagues where men can get together, they can go play. Go if it's a bowling league. There are still some bowling leagues, but you need more of this kind of stuff. You need baseball leagues. You need what is it? Whatever, church softball leagues. Anything that can that can get men together, get them doing something, because that's where men build camaraderie and brotherhood. That's the biggest thing missing from today's society. When you have to be a corporate wage slave for your company, and then you come home and you can't go out with the boy, you go do something with the boys. Like it's not like going out with the boys. You're not going to party. Like, you want to go do something. A lot of men want to, like, if I was going to do anything, go do anything. Okay, well, I want to go to the gym, or I want to go to I want to go play baseball, or because I've recently got into back into baseball, and it's like, well, I would like to go and play in an adult league of baseball, but they don't have any adult leagues around here. So what am I going to do? What am I to do? I can't meet other dudes who like baseball and play some games with them or anything like that. You can't do it because it's you just don't have those kind of things around here anymore. They used to be a lot more popular because then men could get together, but now you have all these women trying to break into those kind of leagues, and they want to break it up and they ruin it. And you need something that is allowed to be male only, allowed to be male focused, to sit there and say, hey, these are men's leagues to do these kind of things, and allow them to have brotherhood and camaraderie in those kind of things. Um, I think that's what a society just needs, a lot more of those kind of things for men to go do and enjoy, and activities just for men to get together and do something and have fun. That's what men want. They want to pursue something. They want to have fun, and have a reason to get together. I forget if I find the study. There was one study that was linked that was actually really good, that talked about how men perform better if they did two therapy sessions, where one was a man would talk to a professional, right, to a psychiatrist, and then another one was they would get men together for an activity, and then the men would be able to talk about the problems or whatever, like if they wanted to. But you get men together for an activity, and they found that the men meeting together to do an activity was more beneficial for the men than going and talking one on one with a therapist. And that speaks volumes about how male behaviors and the male mind works, because we like to do things and we like to work together to achieve something. And if we allow more of those kind of things back into society, like allow men's only leagues of these kind of things, allow men to do the things that they like to do, some of these things, and of course women pushing men to pursue these kind of things, and pushing them to help themselves, to be able to pursue their own things too, and not just like, oh well, I don't want him to not be able to be here all the time for me, and all this kind of stuff, like super narcissistic, to an extreme degree, like many women are. um that's just how it is. We need more of that kind of stuff from men. So this has been a really long rambling video. I hope if you've actually watched all of it, you've gotten something out of it. I know I ramble. I know I've said a lot of stuff, and you may not agree with all of it, but I hope that this generates a discussion, and I hope that Rosalie, maybe this gives you a little bit more perspective watching it, or anyone who watched that video. This is going to be talking about. This has just been talking about the Dax to be a man um, video, and kind of what the impact of that video is on the world. But I hope you have a great day. This is my video. Like it if you've enjoyed the content. Subscribe to the channel, and also links in the description for all my other socials and everything else. You know the drill. But I'll go ahead and get out of here. This is Trey from Trey's Think Tank signing out.